Good. All right. So first off, Max, thanks so much for doing this consultation today. So how'd you find out about me?
I saw some of your stuff on LinkedIn. We had a couple friends in common, so you popped up in my feed, and I listened to one of the podcasts that you linked. That is one of yours, and it piqued my interest.
Okay, awesome. So how much information do you know about me? Have you looked at like my website? Have you seen any other videos I've made? Any articles I've written?
I haven't read any of the articles or really been to the website, but I've been through a bunch of the podcasts. I've been getting some of the pre-training videos,
Perfect.
that kind of thing. So I've been going through those
Okay.
as well. Yeah.
So what we do here at Peak is just really unique and really specialized. And we have a high success rate with our clients of around 95%. But that's only because we properly screen any potential clients and really only take on those that we know we truly can help. So that's why we like to do these consultations today. So what's going to happen today is I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions about what's going on with your neck and your shoulder. And what I'm really trying to do is decide if I want to take you on to the next step in my process, which is a full comprehensive evaluation. Now, I only do that if I'm absolutely sure that I'm going to be able to help. So do you have any questions for me before we get started?
Not at all.
Perfect. So first off, can you point to where you feel most of the pain?
Most of the pain I tend to get right about here, and then also back of the shoulder.
And how would you describe that pain? Is it sharp? Is it dull? Is it aching, throbbing, burning, stabbing, numb, tingling?
Stabbing, I do get some tingling down into my hand,
Okay.
down into like my thumb and forefinger.
Okay.
But locally, it is definitely like stabbing and crampy.
Okay. On a scale of 0 to 10, 0 no pain, 10 you wouldn't care if I just cut it off. Like, what is the worst that pain's ever gotten?
6 or 7.
When's the last time you had a 6 or 7?
It's been about a week and a half.
Okay. What would you say it's been on average over the last 30 days?
On average, it's probably been closer to 3 or 4.
Okay. And then what type of activities or movements can really flare it up?
I do a sport called aerial lyra. It's, the
Okay.
aerial silks are the fabric. I do the hoop up in the air.
Okay.
So that, and then giving massage.
Okay. And then when it does get bad, is there anything you can do to make it feel just a little bit better to take that pain down a bit?
I do some massage techniques on myself, but excuse me, I feel like I'm always going around it. Like I'm treating around the area and I'm not quite getting it.
Okay. Now, have you had any accidents or trauma to that area?
Not to my knowledge. There has been suspicion from a couple of physical therapists based on, how things move, that there's a potential that there was some kind of a subluxation or dislocation, but I don't recall one.
Okay. Have you had any imaging done, like an X-ray or an MRI?
No.
So who else have you seen for this problem?
I've seen 2 PTs. I
Okay.
had one a couple years ago, and then I've been to one recently.
What did any of them tell you was wrong?
The one before was very focused on like scapular scapular punches, that kind of thing as an exercise. They seemed to think something was going on like this in the serratus punches in the serratus area. And then the one recently has been heavily focused on like teres major, teres minor, that kind of thing.
Okay. Did any of those treatments help?
Honestly, I felt like the serratus punches helped more than the other stuff. The only thing that I did find very effective that the current PT did was that she did dry needling in teres major and that kind of thing, which is where I have felt a lot of the pain. So it definitely helped with that, but it was very short-lived.
Okay. Now, I know you say you do some of that exercise, and do you like to do anything else for like activities or anything like that?
I mostly do like recumbent bike, like stationary recumbent bike. I used to lift heavy, and I haven't done that in several years.
Yeah, I'm a washed up meathead too. I used to lift real heavy. Wish I could go back in time and say, "Hey, look at you now. You shouldn't have done all that stuff."
Exactly.
It was cool in the moment. But and then how long have you been a massage therapist for?
14 years. Yeah.
Awesome. So I have all the information I need so far. Is there anything else you'd like to add that's important that I might have missed?
Well, I will note just because it's decided to bother me a little bit is that in that serratus area near the front, I do get
Yeah.
some tension, and it's like a icky, kind of like a tired
Does
feeling.
that kind of kick on
It's
as
not
as the
consistent.
day, does that kick on worse as the day goes on with like a heavier load?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. And then my last question, and it's my most important question, is okay if I ask?
Yeah.
If I had a magic wand and I could go in and take away all your pain, get you functioning better, get you moving better, get you feeling a heck of a lot better, what would a perfect day look like for you? Like, what would you be able to do?
I would be able to, so totally fixed. I wouldn't have to do a huge amount of like warm up to get, on the Lyra, because I have one at home. So it's like, it lives in my backyard. I can just go out on it, that kind of thing. I could, pick up my kid without having to, steel myself and tense
Yeah.
everything up. Working in massage, same deal. I wouldn't have to do a huge amount of prep, and then also protecting it throughout.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it takes, I always say when you're in pain, and it's even harder for people like us that are in the body work and into helping people. It's like we're sacrificing our own health, and we know it's hard because like we know what we can do to help them, but we can't like get ourselves helped. And that's the problem is that, and we're usually pretty bad about self-care for ourselves. We're like, yeah, I'll get to it once I'm done, but it's like you just keep going from where you are. So
Well, then you have to figure out who's good and who's not good, and that adds a whole nother layer. That
and then you see
isn't
that
worth
all
it.
the time in practitioners is everybody diagnoses based off what they're trained in instead of what they actually need. So everyone goes in with blinders. They do these same studies every couple of years where they're like, PT, massage, chiro doesn't really work. I'm like, because we don't have a specific problem of what's going on. I'm like, you wouldn't take your car to the mechanic and he'd be like, yeah, let's just get started on it. And like, no, we're going to run some diagnostics and figure it out. But we don't do that in healthcare, and it's very symptom focused. So what I want to do next is just explain a little more in detail what I think's going on and kind of talk about what the next steps are in my process. So first off, thank you for taking the time to do this consultation and just being proactive about your health. It's the first step to getting it moving in the right direction instead of the wrong direction like it's been going. So anytime that somebody's coming into our office that's been dealing with a problem as long as you have, there's always three components to the injury that I'm looking for. One of those components is scar tissue. Scar tissue is like glue that gets inside the muscle, makes it really hard for the muscle to be able to stretch and contract how it's supposed to. Another issue we end up seeing a lot is degeneration, specifically to the joint in the shoulder and then like the discs in the joints in the neck. What happens there is things just get older before their time. And the last problem that we see is inflammation. Anytime you get a chronic injury like you have, you're going to get a lot of inflammation. Now, the good news on scar tissue is that's exactly what we're experts at finding and fixing. In fact, we're one of only 3 clinics in this entire state that specializes in scar tissue treatment. And of those 3, we're the only ones that also manage your inflammation. So you're definitely in the right place to get those 2 fixed, because usually what's happening is it's putting more pressure on that injured area and speeding up that process. So the good news is you're definitely a candidate for the next step in our process, which is a full functional exam. Now, it's a really thorough and in-depth evaluation that takes approximately like 30 to 45 minutes. And during that evaluation, we're going to be looking at your overall range of motion, the quality of your muscles and tissues, your levels of inflammation, and your overall functioning. And once we're done with that evaluation, we're able to see how much of your problem's coming from scar tissue, how much is coming from degeneration, and how much is coming from inflammation. Once we establish what's fully going on, we typically see clients anywhere from like 6 to 16 treatments. It really just depends on what we find on that evaluation. So do you have any questions for me about what's potentially going on with the neck and shoulder or what to expect on that evaluation?
No, not really.
Perfect. So I'm going to hit stop on this so we have it, and then we'll talk some more, okay?
All right, sounds good.